I'm going to go ahead and call us to order. Good afternoon. All members of the Fair Planning Committee are participating virtually. For virtual meetings, commission members will be muted until asked to be heard. At that time, they will be recognized and will be unmuted. When there is a vote, it will be necessary to take a roll call vote. A commission member will be recognized and will raise their hand and state their vote. Today's meeting is a public meeting. Citizens can listen to the meeting if they contacted the city manager's office to make the necessary arrangements. The meeting also will be live streamed on the city's YouTube channel, and a recording of today's meeting will be available by Friday, June 17th, 2022 on the city's website. And also, hopefully y'all saw the email from Rachel a couple of weeks ago. Odell Cheek, who's been on the committee for a number of years and former chair, recently passed away. So we'd just like to take a brief moment of silence for him. Thank you. Rachel, do you need to do attendance?
Yep. Rachel Barron, up here. Carrie Collins, Willie Cumbo, Sophia Griggs, Kathleen Garber.
Here.
Kim Grassley, Joseph Hamby, Karen McHugh.
Here.
And Anthony Tang.
Here.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. We will skip over the minutes for now, since we do not have quorum to be able to vote on those. The next, I guess, do we want to go ahead and discuss the resolution for the entertainment? Just so we know what it is.
Do that.
Okay.
Thanks, Kat. This is a resolution approving the entertainment attractions for the 2022 Carolina Classic Fair. Listed below, as you can see, we have Abracadabra Magic Show and Brad's Comedy Hypnotist Show. That's $18,000. Mountain Mike's Whetstone Woodwork. He's our chainsaw carver in the village. That's $5,000. And All American Pig Racing for $12,000. Of course, all of these do have the little asterisk beside those to be recommended onto the Public Assembly Facilities Commission. Does anyone have any questions on any of these?
I know we've had Brad and Mountain Mike previously. Is All American Pig Racing, are they the same folks that we've had lately, or no?
No. We did have a little situation where the people that we've had, Circle C Petting Farms, they've been with us for a very long time, and they had to retire due to medical issues. So
okay.
This is one that I have found. I am still in the contract process with them, but it's looking very promising that they will be replacing them.
Okay. Excellent. I think everything looks good to me. If we could vote, we would.
Yes.
Thank you for putting those together. The next item is the advertising and creative services update, and I believe we've got a couple of guests to help address that.
You want us to just jump in? So we know most of you one way or the other. Rachel, Robert, how much in depth do you want us to go as far as explaining what capture is? Do you want us to quickly do it, or?
Yeah, just do a quick overview, because I know you have good working relationships with most of these members. So just a quick recap.
Sounds good. We'll do a quick recap of capture, and then we'll show you some of the initial design concepts for the year. So if I can find them. Okay, can everybody see that?
Yep.
Okay, so let's flip through. So there are three things that we presented as sort of what we think brings to the table that we have. We feel good depth of experience. We just celebrated our 17th anniversary at Capture. We think we have a good track record of creative ideas and execution. I'll show you some of those that we've done with other clients. And then we feel like we have really good relationships across the board with the community, with the news media for sure, with elected officials, and a variety of vendors. As I said, we started Capture in 2005. Steve Bumgardner and I are the co-owners of Capture. There's my background if you want to see it. I've been working for a long time. I worked at another PR agency here in Winston-Salem prior to Capture, and then came here. There's Steve's background. Steve was director of marketing at Krispy Kreme for about 10 years. He was my client. That's how we know each other prior to Capture. There's some other members of our team. Ann Urban is on the call with us. She does a lot of direction as far as graphic design and branding strategy or maintaining brand standards, and has already been working with our graphic designer on some looks for the fair. And then another person, a couple of you might meet, is Rebecca McNeely, who does a lot of social media photography and email marketing. And then Casey Bazemore is our graphic designer who created the look for the fair that we're going to share. There's some vendors that we have. That's just a list of our capabilities in terms of public relations, and that's not so much what we're doing for the fair at this point. There's more of our list of capabilities on the marketing side, sort of A to Z of the marketing world is certainly included in that as graphic design, which is mostly what we're here to talk about today. That's specific to creative services, art direction, proofing, and so on that we would do for the fair. And then something we will do is more digital advertising, digital placements, at least in terms of organic news media. There are some of our clients, and I'll show you a couple case studies. Let's flip through these really quickly. I think they'll be familiar to you. We do a lot of work, have worked for years with the Winston-Salem Symphony. There's some examples of advertising ads that we came up with the Symphony. We have done a lot of work for Old Salem through the years. There's an ad for Winter Explorations, was a program to try to up visitation to Old Salem after the holidays, when there traditionally was a dip. There's another look, sort of a seasonal thing that we did for Old Salem, springtime, and one that would be coming up soon. The All-American Summer was, again, another seasonal campaign we did for Old Salem for a number of years, and likewise, the autumn was very successful. And there's specifically one day, the Harvest Day at Old Salem, and holidays, of course. So that takes you through the full year of work we did for Old Salem. Oh, I was doing that. Some more looks for Old Salem. We handled the public relations and graphic design for the School of the Arts production of the Nutcracker for a number of years, which it has been dialed back a little bit during the pandemic. There's a look that we created and used for a long time and still in use. And this was one showing just a matching. We use this look a lot, where it's a good graphic design treatment plus photography. We are big believers in using real life photography to bring things to life, so to speak. And I'm going to show you some examples of that with the fair as well. Some more Nutcracker stuff. You tell that's dated because there was a billboard there in the upper right hand corner that is no longer there in downtown. And we've worked for the Dash since the beginning. That's a view. That's the week that the Dash opened at the stadium, and that is not digitally enhanced. We really did spell out Dash on Winston Tower from the inside, not from the outside. Some more things we've done for the Dash, some event-related things. So that's sort of our scope of work for the fair, creative concepts. That's mostly what we're going to talk about today. Website content is coming up very soon. I know Rachel's coming to our office to talk about some of that this afternoon. And then social media certainly will be a key part of it sooner than later. And again, there's just sort of our view for the fair to take creative concepts, the website work, and social media with an overall goal of increasing awareness of the fair. So having said that, let's show you some of the concepts we have developed thus far. So these, again, have been initially improved. They're in the concept stage, using the theme Riding, Rockin', Livestocking. There are a couple of different looks just in concept, and I will quickly show you how that look can be applied to some materials. There's a possible billboard. None of these have been finalized, but this is a look we're moving toward pretty rapidly. I'll stop and please stop me if any of you have questions, or I'm just going to keep rolling. Here's another look that at least we internally at Capture are really liking with the nighttime or the black background. I think it really makes the look pop out. I think we have a couple examples of that we will show. Another look. And again, the imagery, the photographs are sort of placeholders at this point, but they very well may end up being used in the end. There's a little bit of a different look. Another one. And these all are, at least in concept, billboards, but the same look could be applied to a wide variety of things, to digital ads or print ads.
And I will just quickly say that the billboards, the stuff you're seeing show mostly rides, but we will add additional types of fair activities. So billboards will not be exclusively rides, just FYI. And someone just asked if we came up with a livestocking part, and we did not. The riding, rock, and livestocking came from the fair team, which they could jump in and say.
Okay, good point, Ann, about the photography, that this is just placeholders. There's a look that's not necessarily right, based more people. So another look. This is a program cover, again, sort of the same overall look. And this maybe does a better example of bringing in some of the other elements of some of the shows and the livestock. Again, I think all the rest of these are sample or draft program covers. I'm just gonna roll through them. I think that's it. Anybody have any questions at this point?
I don't think so. I think it looks really good. I like what y'all have done. I didn't know, Rachel or Cheryl, did y'all think we talked about it at commission maybe, but I don't know if the committee's heard kind of where the theme came from and how y'all developed that.
Yeah, we I believe it was last month's meeting we brought up, April's meeting where we talked about the theme. We kind of got it from some other fairs and like the Midwest, like Iowa, around there. Back in the 90s, they had it as their theme. So we kind of found a whole bunch of themes that have been used from other fairs, and we came up with some, and we kind of made a Post-it note wall of all the theme ideas, and then we kind of dwindled them down, and finally we all decided on Ride and Rock and Livestocking because it kind of highlights all the best parts of the fair.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, really excited to see kind of how we take that and explode it out to all of the different pieces, from billboards to print to social and website. So thank y'all for what you're doing.
Happy.
The next is the facilities update.
You want to take that one, Robert? Or there we go.
I can take. Is it just facilities update?
Robert, do you want us to drop out of the meeting at this point?
Yeah, if committee has no further questions or comments.
Okay, great to see everybody.
I think that's fair.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Well, I'll let kind of Cheryl touch on the grandstand a little bit. I know that's kind of been going back and forth. I think other than that, I don't know. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on a facilities update other than the grandstand. But as far as like event wise, and as we're working our way up towards the fair, we're scheduled out as we usually are to about that first week of September. And then we'll start really getting our staff transitioned over into fair prep, and we'll be ready going into that first week of October. We've got a concert coming up this weekend. This Friday is the Roots and Boots tour with Aaron Tippin, Sammy Kershaw, and Colin Ray. And that's selling really well. We expect 2,000 folks there. We've also got next weekend, next Saturday, Charlie Wilson. And that's also selling really well. I think we expect 2,000 participants at both of those shows. So at least from event wise leading up to, I think that we're in good shape. I'll let Cheryl and maybe Carrie touch on the grandstand and maybe some of the food booth stuff we've talked about in the past.
Okay. Well, the grandstand is slowly moving forward. We're still waiting on some assessments from some team members, but we are planning ahead. I've already spoken with Rodeo Demo and our tractor pull, and there will be some type of the seating is the whole issue right now, the seating and the roof. If we can get the roof off, we can bring in seating if we have to, and restrooms until we can get the full facility construction completed. But that is moving forward, and hopefully we'll see some actual action from construction on that soon. One other thing that if you come over here on the grounds, you're going to notice we've been doing a lot of landscaping, cutting down some of our bigger trees from where we planted some older trees years ago to replace them. I think that's going to brighten up everything, give us more lighting options during the fair, and just overall make the facilities look a lot better. Other than that, it's been pretty much. Carrie, are you still on? Is she on? Oh, I can't hear you. There you go. There we go.
Can you hear me? Because my speaker's not been doing well.
Yeah, so we can. Maybe you can go over from food booth aspect. That's all been kind of up in the air also.
Contracts have been sent out for not contracts. Lease agreements have been sent out for our outside vendors as well as our inside the marketplace building vendors. I am currently looking for new inside vendors to help fill the building, looking for any kind of local crafts, arts, anything kind of local. I'd love to create a local crafters corner. So I've been visiting some different festivities. I can't even talk. Festivals, festivities on the weekends, trying to find some of our local people with that kind of talent and reaching out to them. We will be sending out an advertisement very soon announcing that we're looking for new people. It's been posted, I think, on our Instagram and Facebook page already. So that's kind of where we are for that inside marketplace space. And as far as food booths, I think I will have 9 of the 10 that we had last year returning. That is a opportunity that the community just does not do anymore. People don't volunteer. You don't have the community groups like we've had in the past. It used to be years ago that we have a waiting list trying to get in here to raise money. And those groups are not reaching out to us. Even if they come in for the first year, they generally don't come back a next year. It takes a lot of people to make that happen when you're trying to keep something staffed for that many hours and that many days in a row. And I think most of you are aware that volunteers everybody expects to get paid to do something. And it's a very hard community project when you don't have people willing to volunteer their time. So we have seen that consistently dwindle. So I've already spoken to a couple of the staff members. We're trying to come up with a new idea for 2023, what we can do to kind of revamp that area. Just looking and brainstorming, trying to come up with some different ideas. So the last thing I want is to have empty space there where people are not being drawn to the area. So if you guys come up with any ideas where people could be inside these spaces with countertops and do whatever, sell or show or any ideas, please email me. I'd love to hear about it. Love to try to, jazz it up down there. That's pretty much where we are right now.
Quickly, would there be a thought of reducing the amount of them? So essentially tearing out a few of them and create, never mind. Okay. Or you've already thought about that.
That's part of my brainstorm. Yep. But that lower building where we've been empty, Most of the community vendors that are with us, they want a single-sided. They don't want the double-sided because they just don't have the staff to do double sides. So that lower area, it's like numbers 11 through 14. We have talked about maybe taking that down, but leaving, we need the connection for water and sewer, and we definitely need the bathrooms down there. So that has been one of the things that we plan on discussing, maybe even beginning next month, not for this year, but for 2023.
Yeah, I was also thinking, like, imagine you could, if you moved the beer garden area, had more vendors, moved it up there close to the clock tower, so it's like more central. Then you had a live concert with people in the beer garden. You make that area. I mean, that
makes sense. It definitely makes sense. I appreciate that.
Yeah, because I think to your point, like, we want people to come there, and if they walk past the first building and there's no one in it, or one of the four is got the Thunderbirds or something there, they're like, so do I need to come to these at all? And then they skip the ones that do actually have groups in them. So
I got a lot of comments from my vendors in that area because those buildings were empty and then our bathrooms were not working. So we are definitely trying to make sure that we don't have that issue this year, especially with the bathroom aspect. But I mean, even if it's people just, I don't know, selling like little gourds or fall festival type stuff, I just need people in that spot. I need people to be there so that we can draw a crowd around the area.
Yeah. And to Anthony's point too, I don't know if there's a possibility there of, like, I know we kind of had the sports zone set up across from the beer garden this past year, but it felt like that was a little temporary. Like, I know a couple of the folks, it was like a card table and here's sort of our stuff and we might be there and we not. But if we put them in some of the food booths, they could at least like have some signage and it would look active, even if they weren't necessarily actively manning the booth for a few hours. So
I like that idea.
Okay.
I have some big ideas, I think, for 2023, not for 2022.
Yeah,
For 2023. I think you could really make that whole area lively and active, especially, I mean, it's in the heart of everything anyway. So
yeah, it's right there at the entrance. So
further discussion.
Yeah.
And you don't have to take the idea, but
No, I appreciate all ideas. Keep brainstorming. Shoot me emails.
yeah, will do.
Let me add a couple of other updates. As Cheryl mentioned, the grandstand's still very much a work in progress, trying to get the final report from the structural engineer. But I also want to share with you all what's in the proposed budget for next year regarding Winston Fairgrounds facilities. Right now, the proposed budget includes $1,050,000 from fairground reserves to address some issues with, let's see here, I'm looking at with the interior improvements to the annex, roof replacements there on the fairgrounds, and also yesterday village repairs. So $1,050,000 there. Now, we'll say that just depending on how the year ends up, the fiscal year ends up this year, we may, take our time, utilizing those funds, because we want to make sure that we preserve our reserve funds, literally as a rainy day fund, figuratively and literally as a rainy day fund. And we just had that infusion of money from our American Rescue Plan Act funds to try to restore the fund balance. So we're going to be very intentional about how we go about spending that money. But in addition to the $1,050,000, there's also $3.5 million in the proposed budget using what are called limited obligation bonds to address some more significant facility needs with the fairgrounds. And we can provide more detail about that. But I think just to give you an example, some electrical upgrades that need to take place in the facilities. It may include replacing one of the dehumidifiers in the annex, which we are still trying to make sure that we preserve the appropriate climate, especially during ice season, so we can maintain the ice. So you're talking about $4.5 million of a capital investment in the fairgrounds with the 2023 budget. So we're excited about that. Council will consider the budget for approval on June 21st. So if they do approve that, including the capital plan, then those monies will be available starting July 1st, and we'll start our planning, to prioritize which improvements we want to move forward with first, and then just kind of work through our plan.
Thank you, Ben. And Cheryl, I just wanted to follow up. I know you mentioned, like, for the demolition derby and the rodeo, there's sort of a plan in place of how we could get some seating and all that in. Is that,
Right.
would that same seating be used for the concerts? Just thinking
Yes.
too, like, especially with the theme, we are highlighting the rockin' aspect. So,
Right. Well, this all depends on how that assessment comes back. If we can get the seating that we have in play safely and secure, and it's approved, it'll go on as normal.
okay.
We've had some tractor pulls in the year where we brought in, the actual tractor pull people had brought in these large tractor trailer size bleachers. We've looked at that. I know that Smith, I'm not sure exactly how many we can get underneath there, but if we can get them underneath the stands and within the area of seating, I believe that we will have seating. Now, yes, the seating would be limited. That would be the only drawback, but with most of our attendance and a lot of our concerts, as in years past, demolition derby is really the only thing that is filled at capacity year after year. So that will definitely affect them. The concerts and the rodeo and Op Pod, they kind of go in and out. So hopefully it won't impact them as much. Of course, our concerts, I hope we fill every seat we have. But there's also other entertainment on the grounds to choose from during that time. So that's kind of what I'm looking at this point is plan B. If we can't get the roof, first off, we've got to get the roof off. We can't have pieces of it flying and hitting
Dangling
people.
about,
So,
yeah.
it may be an open air facility for the fair. And of course, with weather and things like that, we'll just have to deal with that as it comes into play. Now, the electrical portion of the grandstand and the bathrooms, that's a whole nother beast in itself. But I think that we can work through that to at least get us through the fair and then do the major repairs right afterwards.
Gotcha.
We're going to make it work.
Yeah. Gonna figure it out.
Got to.
And then Ben, you mentioned the $1,050,000 coming out of the Fair Reserve Fund. Do you know what the current amount in that fund is?
Let's see. Give me one moment here. I got the budget document. Let me look it up.
Just knowing, I know with the rebrand, we kind of worked that fund way down. And I know initially when I was on the committee in years past, it was sort of like there's a good amount of money in there. But like you said, we want to keep that money in there so that in the event of the grandstand exploding or, other unprecedented
that happened.
Some money there. So
Sure.
definitely don't want to kind of go back to there is no money in the reserve fund.
That's right. Absolutely. So we're projecting that at the end of the current fiscal year, so as of June 30th, it'll be about $2.28 million.
Okay.
So if we do everything we planned as far as that $1,050,000 by the end of next fiscal year, it would be down to $1.18 million. That's why, I really want us to see how we end this fiscal year, just before we just kind of, move forward aggressively to spend it all. I mean, it may be that we'll just, prioritize and kind of work through the use of those funds. Maybe a case where we're going to focus on the $3.5 million that we're getting from the limited obligation bonds first, and then that just gives us more time. But I think that's kind of how we'll manage those funds. But yeah, so right now we're looking at over $2.2 million.
Okay. Thank you. And then, is there any other business?
Yes, we've been in discussion, ticket pricing for the fair. Our tickets are still $10, of course, 8 in advance. We're going to keep our advance sale at $8. One thing we are looking at is charging a $2 handling fee for all adult gate sales at the gate. What that will do, we're trying to get away from the paper ticket, of course. Many of y'all have noticed through other events, parking ticket is all going mobile. What we have discussed is a bunch of A-frame signage all throughout the gates where you can hit the QR code, purchase it, and walk straight in. You would still be charged only the $10 for an adult ticket for that. You purchase it through the actual ticket seller, that's where the handling fee would come in. And so technically our gate price is still $10. So that shouldn't affect any change in parking, hopefully, or it would just be an additional handling fee and encouraging people to use the phone. Everyone, I think through COVID has gotten used to this concept anyway. And I think it will also generate more revenue because of that. It's just getting the QR codes out there. It'll save time. I don't know if some of you noticed on 27th Street out here at Gate 8, they back up all the way to Gate 9 to get in. If we post the posters and the signage with the QR codes, they can snap that right there in line, pay for their tickets, and walk straight in. So it should increase the traffic. It should get people in here quicker. And it also gives them the sense of, yes, it is still a discount. And it should also, with our advertising, increase our advanced sale. Our advanced sale last year took a big hit. And I'm hoping our numbers come more into the normal range as 2019. So that too can increase our fair fund balance. So.
Yeah, I'll just clarify the statement of it wouldn't be a $2 at the gate all the way around, just if you had to interact with a staff person that's handling cash. So you could still buy at the gate at the $10 price if you scan the QR code and walk in. So it's really, talking with our box office staff, with the staff, potential staffing, we had staffing challenges last year. We don't know what to expect. So I think part of it is really playing into all of this supply and demand. And how do we transition people to a more mobile environment, which I think 5 years from now is the only way you'll be able to purchase a ticket. So it's kind of, there's multi-prongs and facets to the reasoning for it.
Yeah. Will that QR code be included on like advanced materials and social media so that if I was sitting at my house and I knew I was coming to the fair in 3 days, I could go ahead and purchase my ticket and not have to do it while I'm standing on the sidewalk in the line?
Yeah. So you could have done that last year or the year before. We didn't have a QR code, but you could always visit our website.
Okay.
Purchase the ticket anytime. So even there were times last year where our box office manager would go out and in the long lines and say, hey, if you go to our website, you can buy your ticket now and just walk in instead of waiting this line. So we've done that before. It's just with the QR code technology, everything's so much more efficient. I think even if you go to a dash game now, they only have like one person in the box office and they have a A-frame out there to scan the QR code. So it would be similar to that.
Okay.
Be good too as we're considering marketing and ticket sales moving forward, really leveraging that there is not an increase this year since everything else seems to be increasing,
Right.
or there's a surcharge or whatever it might be. So really saying, hey, we're still X amount of dollars. Also leveraging, I don't know what military discounts have been like in the past, but since Wake is playing Army on the second weekend of the fair, I don't know if there's a way to, I know we've done ticket deals in the past, but in addition to that, also saying, hey, further military discount for the weekend or something like that.
Yeah, we do have an actual military day on that Thursday, but I'm sure that we'll work with, like in the past, with the combination tickets. And I don't guess we don't have a game time yet, but it should be a pretty good crowd since they are playing Army.
Yeah, I think that's a good possibility there for some additional collaboration.
Yeah, I think that our advanced sale should really pick up tremendously this year. I think that's one of our biggest focuses. I mean, that's our guarantee If it rains all 10 days, we still have that. And by pushing that, well, it's the truth. I mean, that's that's what the advanced sale is all about. And that's a pretty good size discount. $8 versus $12 if you have to purchase it through the actual ticket seller. So I think we can push that very well.
Sounds good. One other thing, just realizing we don't have quorum. We seem to have some folks who consistently are not attending. Is there, like, are we actively looking for additional committee members? What are the requirements? Should we be recruiting? What can we do to get more people involved?
So, Kathleen, we can work with the mayor's office on trying to get some more appointments to the Fair Planning Committee, and part of that discussion would be sharing with the mayor's office the attendance of members of the Fair Planning Committee. So we can certainly work through that, and then ultimately bring, I guess, I can't remember now if we take it all the way to the council or if it's still something just approved by the commission, but work through trying to address both fronts, attendance by the existing members and getting some new members on board.
Awesome. Yeah, I know Facebook keeps trying to get me to, like, we're recruiting members for the public arts committee, something, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm already on enough committees with the city. So I know there are other committees that obviously exist across all of the different city departments. And so this seems to be a fun one. I would think people would want to join.
I agree.
Is there any other business discussion? If not, I'm going to say we're adjourned. So thank you all very much for being here, and thank you for the updates and all that you do to keep the fair getting better.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for being our TikTok star.
Yeah.
Just don't make me learn any more dances.
I'll see.
Thank you.